Hello, everyone. This is Gruesome Herzog. My very special guest today is Travis Ammons. How you doing, Travis?
Very well, very well. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. We've tried it quite a few times, and we finally get it together today.
Yep.
And the reason why I even know of you is, you know who I'm talking about? Is that Michael?
Mike Muskell, yeah, Mike.
Yep. He asked me the other day if we did an interview yet, so I said, no, not yet, but it's coming.
Well, we're a little disorganized, but we finally got it together. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, if you don't mind, the first thing I'd like to start with is a short film called Empty Vessel in 2005. Would you want to give the listeners an idea what it's about?
That was a really cool film. It was kind of like my first lead in a real big budget type thing. It was a great script about a young lady and who was a young lady who was in an asylum and was good friends with my character, who was kind of a hyper effervescent guy who was also in the asylum. And you kind of find out halfway through that she's really crazy, and he's actually just a figment of her imagination.
Right.
And it kind of turned dark at the end. And it was kind of a good film. It was shot up in Austin, and it got a lot of awards, and got a lot of placement in festivals, and it kind of like put my name on the map when I was real, kind of on the beginning of my career.
Correct. The director was Eric Pickett.
Yeah, Eric was great.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Now, has he done anything since then? I haven't even.
I haven't even heard his name. We saw each other all the time for a little while when we were doing the film, and then I kind of went all over. I was at that time I was working all over Texas and San Antonio and New Orleans and Houston and Dallas and Austin, of course, and he just kind of dropped off the map.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, is there is that available? I mean, can you watch it anywhere? Or probably not, huh?
I think you can. I think you have to. I think it's online somewhere. You just have to kind of Google it and do a little research. I wish I'd known you were going to start with that. I would have looked it up for you. I'm sure you could find it online.
Vimeo, you think?
Go, you are.
All right. Now, the next movie I'd like to talk to you about is The Color of Blood in 2006. Now, I haven't seen this one. I take it this is not available?
I believe it is available. The guy who directed that, Bill, you know his last name there? What was his last name?
Bill Hughes.
Bill Hughes, yeah, Bill and Heidi Hughes. They're great people. And they have a website. They're actually phenomenal animators, and they do a lot of animation stuff. So if you look up their website, I'm pretty sure you could order Color of Blood.
Okay, good.
There was a DVD release. I think it was self-published, but it is available.
All right, interesting. All right. Now,
and it's a fun little film.
What exactly is this about? I mean, obviously it's a horror.
It's a horror vampire type thing. It's pretty low budget, but it's pretty fun. It's got some great actors in it. Bill, I believe, wrote the script, and we improvised a lot with it. And it's kind of about an artist and who's dating a woman, and there's a vampire, obviously, roaming the streets and killing people in the night. There was a lot of gratuitous blood and nudity. My character's kind of a red herring. I played this character called the Warbird, who was a erotic photographer who took these really S&M of women, and some of them looked the models are possibly even corpses, and I'm herring in the whole thing. There's a detective trying to find really a vampire, and so for the first half of the kind of the bad guy, and then you find out that I'm really not.
Oh, okay.
S&M guy. He's in Kanafsanapo. I can never pronounce it. He's a great actor. He was in it as well, and it was shot here in Houston.
One thing I will say, Houston has a nice horror-based family down there. They put out a lot of horror movies, like Spirit Camp and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, between Millhouse, Millhouse is really kind of the pioneer of that whole movement down here.
Right.
He really spearheaded it, and he helps a lot of young filmmakers out, and it's really helped the scene blossom. There's a huge market down here. Josh Vargas is one of the other directors, and there's a whole bunch of those guys actually, and Millhouse got the whole thing rolling several years ago, and he's on the cusp of something big, it looks like.
Yeah, because Travis Todd Jason Cook, I know he's one of them. He had that zombie fight down there, which I'm dying to see. That looked pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good. Yeah, we saw a rough cut of that.
Yep. All right, well, the next one is another short film that Drain You. Now, that has a unique title. And
yeah, Drain You is great. That was kind of the most beneficial film for me for a little while there because it got placed on Rob Zombie's website. Rob Zombie had a contest of, shoot a short film and submit it. And it was kind of before he started directing all the films, so that kind of gives you a time frame of when this was.
Right.
It was before House of Corpses and all his films. But when he was first getting started being interested in film, he had a contest on his website. And we had already shot the film. Clint Milby was the director of that, and he submitted it, and it actually took first place. And for almost a year and a half, it was on the website, like on the main page. And it was huge because I had this great character. It had a twisted plot about this family that would kidnap hitchhikers and whatnot and bring them back and drain their blood, and that was how these people sustained life. And you found out in the final scene that they've actually been around since the Civil War, and they've been killing people and staying alive that long. It's a mother and like 4 totally twisted sons. One was a junkie and one was in drag and one was like, pretty much an idiot. And my character was kind of the oldest. His name was Hank, and he was kind of the, idiot ringleader, kind of the guy that was one guy that was, run around and run errands and he was the guy that picked up the girls, so had a great scene that they just locked down a camera on the hood of this truck and we drove around and ad-libbed and improvised and picked up the girl, and it was kind of the opening scene of the movie. So it really helped my career. It's a cool film. I'm pretty sure you can find that. If you're a pirate, you can download that. Just go into a BitTorrent,
No, I'm not.
Pirate Bay or something.
No, I'm not a pirate, but no, I don't know. No.
Well, some people out there are, and they will be able to find it. It's called Drain You.
Yep. I know there's a lot of people that ruins the movie business, my personal opinion, but that's a topic for another day. But
yeah, well, if you're pirating illegal movies, I'm totally against that. But there's a lot of independent filmmakers that use those BitTorrents to spread their own work. And it's kind of a good way to get your stuff out there if you're actually utilizing it. Legally, it's great. It's a great way for independent filmmakers to, if they've got a film that was a learning ground or their first film or whatever, something that they didn't get distributed or was low quality, but they still want to kind of get their name out there. There's a lot of BitTorrents that shall remain nameless. That's a good way that independent filmmakers are now getting their own name out there. Myself included.
All right. Well, the next one is the reason why we got in touch. Well, besides Michael, he brought this movie to my attention, and it's called The Cutting Room in 2008. Now, as you know, he sent me a copy of this, and I watched it, and like I told you in previous conversations, I find this movie very intriguing. I like the style of how it's made. I guess I sound like a weirdo when I say that, but when I say that, I mean it's like I'll let you explain to the listeners basically what it's about. But I just enjoyed the storyline of it. I enjoyed the characters in the movie. I enjoyed the acting in the movie. It's just a neat plot line. And if you want to, you can go ahead and spill the beans to the listeners. Now, is there a release date for this yet, or nothing been settled yet?
We've been talking to a couple of distribution people, and we've got a deal in place, and the process of getting all the final materials together for them so that we can basically make the big transfer. Mike Muskell, who we mentioned earlier, is one of our producers, and he's kind of the distribution agent, if you want to call him that, and he's handling all that. So we're kind of actually right there. We're pretty much done, I think. So it's about to happen.
Good.
They're going to package it, and they're going to see, what they do with it from there. It's really kind of up to them. It was a low budget thing. It was my third film that I directed. It was the first one that we actually had money for. The first 2 films I shot were just basically, let's mess around and make a movie.
Yeah.
And then this was actually, with my backing, had people behind us and whatnot. The story, it's called The Cutting Room, and it's a half black comedy, half horror film. It's kind of both at the same time, in a good way, I hope. The story is about a filmmaker named Jordan Short, who has created, a horror film that takes place on the set of a porno, and they're in post-production, and all of the kills, all the blood scenes look really, really cheesy, really, really crappy, and he's really concerned about that. And the movie kind of starts off when he's freaking out about what is he going to do. His movie is not going to be, good because of all these crappy effects. His editor, whose name is Edit, says she'll handle it and she'll take over and she'll fix it with her magic editing skills, and we find out that she's actually a serial killer, and she proceeds to kill some people that she puts wigs on them and covers their faces, and she recreates the murders that look so crappy in the movie, and she basically recreates them and films them and really kills these people and splices that footage into the footage that Jordan shot to make a very, very realistic film. That's fun on its own, but what makes the movie really cool is the fact that it's kind of three movies in one. You're watching at one point Jordan's story, and then we hopefully seamlessly slide back and forth into the movie that he's shooting, which takes place on the set of a porno, so there's lots of gratuitous nudity. And then the movie that he's shooting is actually about a slasher filmmaker who is a figure in black, who you never really see his face, which makes the killer, who's Edit, the girl, easily hidden so she can commit the murders in the real film. But anyway, it's a little subplot. So anyway, it's very confusing. There's a movie within a movie within a movie in the long run. So you can watch the real time with Jordan, or you can watch the movie that he's created, or you can watch the movie that the killer is making within the movie, which is a slasher film about this guy who's a snuff film artist who's making his captives kill each other. So it sounds confusing, and it is confusing, but it's actually written and edited in a way where it's pretty seamless as you go from moment to moment. A lot of times you think you're watching one scene, and all of a sudden you pull out, and you realize you're actually in the movie, or you're actually within the movie within a movie. And that's pretty much it, other than there's a little love story, because Edit is kind of infatuated with Jordan, and it kind of...
Ellen Dyer. She had a great performance in this movie. Just the way she did it. I mean, the look that she had for the movie was creepy enough, let alone setting up the murders, making the scenes look real. And Chris Rivera, Andy. I don't want to say too much because people didn't see it, but in fact, I'll just shut my mouth. I don't want to ruin it. I'll keep quiet. But there's a lot of surprises in this movie as well. You don't really. I mean, it's. Like I said, I enjoyed it very much, and as you know, I thank you very much for the special thanks in the IMDb because, like I said, I was surprised when I watched it. I've seen a lot of movies, like it's first timers for a lot of people, and I have in my collection still, and I enjoy. See, a lot of horror fans don't. I guess they watch, big timers or I enjoy first timers and low budget for the simple fact I like to watch the way it was made. I'm more, I'm infatuated at different ways than most people are, and the movie was good. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I can't say enough about it, but I wish the best for this. I think it's going to succeed though, because there's a lot of movies out there that are really bad that I never reviewed them or nothing, but I'm saying if they can make a plot, make a space on here, I guarantee that this thing will attract some attention.
I think it could get a little bit of a cult following if people can look past the obvious technical flaws, because it is a low budget film. We shot it on basically next to nothing, what we could scrape together. But it's kind of funny you said that, because if you can look past those flaws and just watch the story for the acting and the story, and overlook those little technical flaws, there's a ton of films out there in the world that are great that people just don't even look at because they see the quality and they just automatically discount it as something inferior, and it may be inferior on a technical end, but on a story end, there's some great stuff that just kind of gets blown off, and I hope that we're in that group. It's got, you mentioned Andy, it's got some great actors. Tom Long, that's Jordan Short. He actually won Best Actor at the San Antonio Horrific Film Fest 3 here last year. And then Ellen Dyer, who you mentioned, who plays Edit, who's kind of the other lead. And she, like you said, she's got a great look. It's funny because she's such a sweetheart. We just covered her in black mascara and dark makeup and just made her look as garish as we could, and she hated it. But she looked so great. We actually had to bring her back out to get a DVD cover photo. I didn't do it all again. But she's wearing all my old concert shirts from when I was in high school in the movie. You can see Pantera and a bunch of other band names. But yeah, the story alone is kind of what got it going. You know, we wrote the script. I wrote the script, and it kind of got some people behind it that were willing to put some money behind it because they could see the script was not just your general slasher film. It was actually pretty clever. It had some funny moments, and it actually had a pretty interesting plot. And I think the ending, not to toot my own horn, but I think the ending is you know, most horror films, even the good ones, the ending's just so hard to make happen, and I just think it has a very nice closure to it, and everything kind of wraps up, and it's just kind of got a very nice, compact, for as big of a story as it is, with many characters and actors playing characters, and you know, a lot of people get to play two different roles in the movie because they're playing themselves, and then you see it in the movie where they're playing the character that they're playing in the movie. So, the two double thing. Anyway, I'll move on from that.
Well, that's good. Because I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm going to throw a teaser out there for some listeners. If you guys hear this interview, watch this movie. The ending, like he mentioned, I was not expecting the ending of this movie whatsoever, and I think it was clever on how this movie ended. So, listeners, when this is available, check it out. The ending, the ending was phenomenal. It was weird. When I say weird, I mean weird in a good way. It just, like you said, you couldn't end it any better than that.
Yep.
So,
well, thanks a lot. Yeah, the story was just, it had to be folded together, and I hate loose ends, and you know, it's not your typical let's just kill everybody and go on and leave a little teaser sequel plug at the very end. I didn't want to do all that. So, so it's fun. So Maxim Media is one of the people that is seriously considering picking it up, and that's in the works right now. So
good deal.
If you guys want to hunt it down.
Well, the next one is a comedy horror that I would like to see also. It's called God Thinks You're a Loser in 2009.
Yeah, that's Gary Chasen.
Mm-hmm.
Good friend of mine, Gary Chasen, and Sue Rock. They're both out of Austin. I've worked with them on several films. Gary Chasen actually wrote that for some friends of ours, David Bourne and Foster Davis, who were a couple of phenomenal actors, both here from Texas. Foster has since moved up to New York. That's a great film that you can find. Yeah, just Google that and please order it. It would do Gary Chasen. It's worth seeing. It's very funny. Again, it's low budget, so there's some corners cut on the technical end. But if you just watch it for the acting and you watch it for the directing style and the story that was written, it's very, very funny, very, very entertaining. It takes jabs that you don't expect, and it makes some very funny singers are in that movie. Gary Chasen, he's a talented guy.
Right.
And that was kind of his baby, so it kind of showcases all the things that he's really masterful at.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out. The next one is it's a horror movie, and I like the title. Hopefully it's available sometime soon. I don't know if it is or not. But Sway in 2009, directed by Josh Vargas.
Yeah, that's a big Catch-22 film. I'm dying to see it. I haven't seen anything yet. Josh Vargas and I actually kind of butt heads. We're still friends. We still get along. We're still nice, but we kind of rub each other the wrong way. We both have a lot of respect for each other's talent, but we kind of got off on the wrong foot. But he wrote a great character for me in the character of Smiles, who's kind of this cross-dressing, delusional, hermaphrodite serial killer snuff filmmaker. So I, read about the role and was very intrigued by it, of course, and auditioned, and he asked me, and he actually, enjoyed I originally had like one scene, and it was a big scene, but it was a one scene, 10-page thing where I just kind of murdered the lead's girl. But he let me improv, which is what I really excel at when I'm acting, is if you let me just kind of go off the script and do what I want. I have a lot of fun, and he just let me go on and on and on. Heather Westwood, who is in the cutting room, who plays the porn star Kylie Good News in the cutting room, was in Sway, along with Bobby Hayworth, who's also in the cutting room in a small role of Paul. We all three had a great scene together, and Josh ended up calling me back and said he liked my performance so much that he wanted to write some other stuff. So he wrote some more scenes, and we got together and shot several more scenes, and he had problems technically, and some things had to be reshot and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know where they are. I talked to him in October, and he said they were still in post. So I don't know. I'm dying to see it, though. I would love to have some of that stuff from my reel. I'm like totally, one half of my face is all all complete drag, and the other half of my face is all gothed out a la, Rocky Horror or whatever, and all my costumes that I wore like split in half like some hermaphrodite where it's male on one side and female on the other. I'm wearing these big-ass 6-inch heel boots.
Jesus.
So it's pretty gnarly. The film's just crazy whacked. I mean, Josh Vargas is a crazy whacked guy, and his intent, and I think he's going to deliver. I hope he does. Is just to make the sickest, most gruesome, horrific, gnarly film of all. There's not much of a plot. No offense, Josh, but it's basically just about your typical slasher film story. People getting kidnapped and organs being donated and ripped off and sold, and there's not even about the plot. There's just so much gore and violence. But everything that I've seen in rough cuts or snaps is just gross,
right.
Like a new level of decadence. It's just indecent. And he's got everything in there that you could possibly imagine. I mean, it's kind of this hodgepodge, mishmash of everything that you could possibly imagine, every element of horror and slasher and gruesome.
Right.
And his effects are great, and he's just so twisted. If it ever gets put out, there's a great trailer online that you can see.
Oh, really? I'm going to check it out.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think you can probably just Google Sway and Josh Vargas, and it'll probably come up. But I think actually, man, if you... I think he's got a website. I don't know. Anyway, there's an IMDb page for it. I know that.
Well,
so he entered a rough cut in the festival, and it got apparently some good feedback. So
interesting. I'm gonna check it
out.
out.
He's a good guy. He's good friends with Millhouse, so he helps him out. And I think Mel was actually how I heard about the audition when it first happened way back.
And there's some good actors. I mean, they're all good actors, but the names that I know offhand is Melanie Donahoe, Jason Champion, and of course
Jason.
Jeremy Summerall, and of course Mel House.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be an interesting movie. I'm going to keep my eye out for that, and hopefully sometime down the road it gets released. That sounds.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in months. He might have something ready to show. I don't know. I need to hunt him down. But yeah, he's good. He's a twisted guy.
Well, I'm a movie, but it's a 2010. It's a comedy, crime, family movie. I figured, what the hell? It's one of the newer projects. The Great American Moonrock Caper.
Yeah, that's really, I stepped outside of my zone. It's kind of a funny story, I love horror, and I enjoy doing it, and I get cast in a lot of horror films as an actor, and I've shot 2 or 3 of them as a director and writer. But I do other things, and actually a couple of years ago, a rocket scientist who shall remain nameless, you'll find out why in a second, commissioned me to write a sci-fi script for him that he wanted to shoot. He had a big stack of cash, and he wanted to shoot the science fiction script, which was really just unshootable. The idea was great, but I mean, he was just talking, multi-million-dollar production with all it was just insane. So we talked a lot about what else we could shoot, and I was trying really hard to pitch him some of my ideas, but they were all just too dark for him. And we ended up talking one day about a true story about these 3 NASA interns who stole a bunch of moon rocks, tried to sell them on the internet, only to get ultimately busted by the feds. And I was like, that's a good story there. I can make that into a good movie. And so I wrote the script and showed it to him, and he loved it. But all of his bosses and NASA cohort said, this is fun, but it's probably not a good idea for you to be involved because, it paints NASA in a really bad light because their security was so lax, and they were kind of, idiots. They didn't really realize the rocks were even gone for a couple of weeks, and when they did, they were kind of bumbling about what to do with them. So I do kind of paint them in a silly light. Anyway, the project got shelved because, his bosses said don't get involved. He was a rocket scientist, so he was like, this is my career. I'm not going to throw it away for this movie. So I just put the thing on the shelf, and when we just finished shooting the cutting room, my partner, Wes Linenbank, who runs Flock of Films, and he's the executive producer of all of my productions from cutting room on. He read the script. He grabbed off my shelf one day and said, "This is great. We should shoot this." And I was like, "Okay, let's shoot it. Get some money." I was just kind of talking out of my ass. Give me some money. Well, lo and behold, he disappears for a couple of weeks and calls back a few weeks later. He's got, about $40,000, and then by the time we get pre-production rolling, he's found another 40, and we're ready to shoot. So we got HCC involved and turned basically the Houston Community College campus into NASA. And we shot it, and it was kind of way out of my comfort zone because it was a family-friendly film.
Right.
It was a true story, and, a lot of research and a lot of trying to be authentic to the story, but still sticking within the legal parameters where we didn't piss off these people that we were talking about. So it was a very interesting film to do. Post-production was a nightmare, but it's finally all done. It's got an incredible score by Rob Powers. Sean Cook, myself, Katrina Ellsworth, who is my wife and a phenomenal actress, and Kristen Chamont from Austin are the four leads. And it's literally like the color correction is like in the final stages right now, and the sound is just finished being designed and tweaked. So I mean, it's done. It is not a horror film by any stretch of the imagination. It is a PG film. It's got some adult moments, but it's definitely a family-friendly film. But it's an interesting story. These kids are just kind of idiots about the whole thing.
Right. Well, the next one and the last one, this is your baby.
Yeah, this is what I've been working on forever.
Suicide Notes, 2011, possibly a release, either that or 2012, correct?
It'll be 11. It'll be 11. We're pretty much done. The post-production on Suicide Notes is going much, much quicker. Larry McKee was our director of photography, and Marvell Eli and Clayton Grisseau did our sound. And honestly, I mean, if we had to release the film as is right now, looking at the rough cut, most of us would be pretty happy. But of course, we're going to put look and sound phenomenal. But it's my baby. It kind of incorporates everything that I do with the multifaceted script writing, where you're dealing with two or three stories parallel lines, going on simultaneously. It has elements of the horror. It has elements of the drama that I like to write. It also incorporates the comedy that I write. I write funny stuff. Even if I'm writing horror, I write funny stuff. So it's a great mishmash of everything that I want to do. Ultimately, it's a black comedy. It's got a couple of name actors in it. It's got Sammy Kershaw, who's a country and western legend. Yep. Lou Martini Jr., who was on Sopranos. Sue Rock, who I mentioned earlier, who's kind of a Texas legend in her own right. And myself and Tom Long, who we talked about with the Cutting Room winning the award. The story is very interesting. Hopefully people will be as intrigued as I am by the concept. It's about a playwright who writes a play called Suicide Notes, in which the lead character does indeed commit suicide in the final scene. And the money-hungry producer, played by Sue Rock, basically commissions him to produce their play for a 3-night engagement, and the gimmick is they're going to cast legitimately suicidal actors to play the lead, and on each night at the end of the play they will legitimately kill themselves on stage, and it kind of becomes this big media frenzy fiasco once opening night happens. The first half of the movie is basically about meeting the three actors, two of which are legitimately suicidal, and one who's just kind of pretending because he wants to be famous. And the casting, and it's about the playwright and the moral dilemma that's kind of just thrown upon him when he kind of agrees to this, and then these suicides are kind of on his shoulders. It sounds really dark, but we directed and wrote it with so much a comedic edge. It's more of a satire. It's kind of a jab at about the cost of fame and the degrees that people will go to get their name in the spotlight, even if it ultimately means they'll be dead when it happens. So it's very satirical. It's a black comedy. Like I say, the first half of the movie is kind of about the pre-production and a thing, but once the play actually has this first opening night, I don't want to really spill everything that happens, but it changes everything, because where before we were dealing with these characters on a pretty intimate level and dealing with their emotional turmoil and their comedy and their quirks, all of a sudden the movie becomes this onslaught of this media frenzy, because it becomes just an overnight sensation, and they post the death on YouTube, and there's these little suicide groupies that come to the theater and hang out and chant suicide as art, and the whole thing becomes this huge spectacle. And the final scenes of the movie are about the second and the third performance, which each have, things that happen in them that are crucial to the development of the characters. It's a big ensemble piece. There's basically 8 leads in it. There's the playwright and his love interests, and then there's the 3 suicidal actors and one of their love interests, and then there's the producer, and played by Sue Rock, and then Lou Martini plays the director, who, in kind of a funny bit, is a nudist, so he's never seen on camera with clothes. There's no nudity. It's always blocked by a plant or an arm or whatever. Right. But it's just kind of an ongoing thing that he just doesn't wear any clothes, and he's never left the theater. So it's got this great ensemble cast, and it's very funny and quirky, and it's paced in a way where you don't really have time to think about what you're watching. You just kind of watch it, and then it really does shift gears savagely, 2/3 of the way through, and I think it's got serious potential to hit some of the bigger festivals like Sundance and Tribeca. It's got the names, we've got the soundtrack, we've got Jamie's involvement, and it's got just enough stuff on it. It was shot on the Red by Larry McKee, and the footage is exquisite. Rob Powers is working on the sound design right now, the score right now, and it's I'm so proud of it I can't even speak. It's like it's got everything I've been working on for so long, trying to make my name as a filmmaker and an author and a director, and it's got every little element pieced in, and every performance is great. Jared Dorr plays the lead, Julian Parker, the playwright, and I have a role in it that's kind of a funny cameo, quirky role.
Right.
A character named Loophole.
But there is an actor. There's an actor in here that I really enjoy, Joe Grisafi.
Oh, man, Joe's one of my best friends. Yeah, he's a great guy. Joe helps us out in so many capacities, in front of the camera and behind. He helps us a lot with casting.
Yep.
And he's just so brilliant and innovative. He's got a small role in this film. It's kind of funny because I gave him the script, and I was like, I've cast Joe in 2 or 3 different projects that just, because funding fell through or timing didn't happen, it just kind of fell to the wayside. And he's been in every single project that never kind of went further, never got into production, which unfortunately happens.
Right.
So I kind of basically gave him suicide notes and said, tell me what you're interested in. I'm not promising you anything, but, read the script and let me know what you like, and I will do my best to see you in that role, because it's one of those scripts where nothing was age determinate, nothing was really anything. It was kind of like, pick a role, if you're the right gender, you can do it, because there really wasn't any kind of parameters that held it into family or look or anything like that. So I kind of gave it to him and said, tell me what you want. And he picked this small role of Duke, who is kind of a Bloodworks FX guy. He's only got 3 or 4 scenes, but they're funny scenes. He's a funny character, and Joe just nails it. His girlfriend in the movie is played by Kristen Schumann, who was one of the leads in Moon Rocks, and so they have scenes with their character. They're kind of an appendage of one of the leads, one of the guys that's playing the suicidal actors. But I mentioned that one of them is pretending, and he's the guy that's pretending. I don't really want to talk too much about his character because it's a major plot twist in it. But Barty Mateen plays the role of Desmond, and Joe Grisafi's his friend Duke. So he's got some great stuff to see when you see Suicide Notes hopefully soon, because he's very funny, and he's got his thumb in everything he's working on. If it's going through Houston, he's probably involved.
Yep. Well, you keep me informed. I'd like to see this one. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, I definitely will. And, I'll be getting Moon Rocks here in a few weeks, hopefully. And then Suicide Notes, we just got picture lock. So score and sound are being happening right now. Deacon DeLucci, who's one of our core team members, is working on the color correction. And he's already, about a 1/6 of the way through out here. So yeah, that's the post-production on Suicide Notes is going really, really quick. So hopefully we'll have that out before the end of spring. We're hoping for like the end of March, early April.
Well, I wish you major success on this one, because it looks like Cutting Room and Suicide Notes might be a good year for you coming out in videos, on the same year.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah. Cutting Room got a little bit of play in the festival. Got a little placement in the festival, so we're hoping that's going to be on the shelves. Yeah, we got banned by Blockbuster. That I tell you that. The Cutting Room, we sent it to the Blockbuster distribution house to see if they wanted it, and they said, due to the graphic content and the gratuitous nudity in this film, we are, banning it from our shelves. Even if you get distribution, we won't put it on our shelves. So we are officially banned by Blockbuster, which is pretty sweet.
Blockbuster can kiss my ass.
They're falling to the wayside from what I hear. They're about out of here.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you when I went to a video store. It might have been 10 years ago. I do, I buy my stuff online, or, I just don't deal with video stores anymore because, they're on the wayside because you got the Red Box, you got Netflix. Eventually,
I hate to endorse them, but I'm a huge Netflix junkie. I gotta say, I'm a big Netflix aficionado. It's sad, but I do. I'm a big Netflix supporter and abuser, and especially now that I can get to my Xbox, I don't have to get the DVDs. I can just go on my Xbox Live and watch it right there. That's pretty wicked cool.
Yep.
It's the future, man.
Well, thank you for coming on. Like I said,
thanks for having me. I will definitely. Yeah. Let me know if you need anything from me, and of course I will send you all my stuff as it develops.
Good deal.
This will be a big summer for us. So, I should give you the website, ticktickbang.info. That's TICK bang. .info. That's our website. You can go there and check out all of the trailers from our short films. We just shot a couple of shorts, just kind of killing some time. And then, of course, Suicide Notes has a couple of trailers up there already, and so does Moon Rocks. So please check out our website, and we'll keep you all informed.
Thank you, Travis.
Thanks a lot, man.
You take care.